Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me because today we will be wrapping up the end of my 2025 reading and doing my November and December reading wrap up. I think going forward that I am going to continue doing these by grouping 2 months together. I think that is just what's going to work best for me. So, yeah, that's something to look forward to and something I will be carrying into 2026. And we have a pretty good stack here. So, grab you a cozy drink. I'm drinking apple cider because I'm freezing cold as always. And let's talk about some books. As always, we will be starting with our DNFs and then working our way to our 5 stars so that we end on a positive note. Let's go. All right, so our first DNF is going to be How About Forever, and this is a novella by Rousey Adams. She happens to be one of my favorite novella writers, and this is the first one that I just feel like did not work for me, and that really kind of, broke my heart a little bit. I ended up DNFing this at about 59%. So Roman and Giselle are a part of the same friend group, and at one point had this one night situation and kind of something happened and they haven't seen each other in years until the friend group gets together again, and the attraction is still there, but Giselle doesn't know if she wants an actual relationship with him for various reasons, and this didn't connect with me simply because it was a lot of public spicy scenes, and the first couple were fine, but then it just felt like it was every other page and we barely got any story in between. Giselle was kind of pissing me off because she knew she wanted Roman, but she didn't want Roman and she didn't want anybody else to have Roman either, and it just felt a little elementary and a little childish. So yeah, I had to it just wasn't for me. I don't think it was bad. We just didn't connect on this one. Then I ended up DNFing Christmas with the Wrights, which is number 3.5 in the Wright Brothers series by Christina C. Jones. I DNF'd this at 16%, but it was only 11 pages in. And I can easily tell you why I didn't have the 11 pages in. We had multiple characters, and I'm not going to tell you who they are for spoiler reasons, but multiple characters were pregnant, and baby, that's just not my that's not my ministry. That's not my thing. I yeah. I mean, sometimes I can kind of deal with the pregnancy trope, but a lot of times it's just not what I want to read. And no shade or anything to anybody who wants to, it's just not what I wanted to read at that moment. So I stopped. And I think at this point, I do have book number 3 left in the series, but I just think it's time for me to hang it up and just call it quits. I do want to try something else by Christina C. Jones because I want to like her. Maybe this just wasn't the series for me though. So I don't know. And the last DNF we have is The Christmas Swap, and this is by Talia Samuels. This is a sapphic holiday romance, and I think just at this point, I was tired of reading holiday books, and this one wasn't doing enough to hook me, which was sad because I thought the premise of it was really great. It sounded similar to Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrane, if you read that. And we follow Margot, who is a businesswoman with no interest in a cutesy romance after her breakup with her long-term girlfriend. And we have Ben, who is an unlucky in love sweetheart in need of a woman to bring home for the holidays. So Margot decides to be that woman and ends up being attracted to / liking Ben's sister Ellie, and everything unfurls from there, right? So I just wasn't really connecting to the characters. I found it hard to kind of make myself care about what was going on. And I also did not like Ellie. When she came onto the scene, she was just very aggressive, and I didn't like how, it's okay for her to be suspicious of Margot, but the way that she was going about it just kind of irritated me a little bit. And so I just stopped while I was ahead, and that was it. Let's move into these 2 stars. it's only one, but it's a very unfortunate one, and that is Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. This is the third book in the Lakefront Billionaires series. And friends, this one really hurt my heart for real because I loved the first two books in this series, and I just wanted to like this so I could have an entire series to recommend, but also to love. In this one, we are following Lorenzo and Lily, and I also just did not like them as main characters. I felt like they were both very insufferable in many ways, and so it did not click at all. I love a marriage of convenience trope and fake dating, fake engagement situations, and this one I just could not get behind. I don't think that this couple should have ended up being a couple, and yeah, unfortunately, this just did not work for me at all. Moving into our 2.5 stars, the first one I want to talk about is Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh, and this is a friends to lovers type story where we are following Molly and Andrew over the span of 10-ish years. They always catch a flight together back to Ireland, and they've just been kind of grown this friendship over the 10 years, and it's this last trip that they have a lot of issues, plane cancellations, all the things, and they basically have to do all these crazy things just to be able to get home for Christmas. And along the way, Molly realizes that she has feelings for Andrew, and here's the thing. I usually don't like friends to lovers, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because this means that you have a long standing history with this person, and then just one day it just smacks you on the forehead that, oh, I might have feelings for them. Like, that's just hard for me to believe. Now, I do believe that you need to build a friendship in order to have a successful relationship, but it's just hard for me to believe that Molly and Andrew were friends for 10 years, and Molly is just now realizing that she has these feelings for him. Absolutely not. I don't believe it. I felt like the humor was a little stale. This story was just okay to me, and that was also a little disappointing because I've heard great things about Catherine Walsh's Christmas romances. Our last 2.5 star is going to be The Darkness Within Us by Trisha Levenseller. And friends, this one I was skeptical going in because this is the follow up to The Shadows Between Us, and I really loved that. I think I gave that a 4 star. But we met Chrysantha, who is the main character of this book, in The Shadows Between Us, and I did not like her. I did not, just wasn't a fan, and so I was very skeptical to read a book with her as the main character when I didn't like her as a side character. So yeah, and it didn't get better for me. Maybe towards the ending I kind of didn't dislike her as much, and I just felt like there was a lot of bickering between Chrysantha and our love interest Eric's, and that was getting on my nerves. I It was an okay story, and that's why I got 2.5 stars. Moving into our 3 stars, the first one is going to be I'll Be Gone for Christmas, and this is by Georgia K. Boone. This is compared to the Holiday Swap movie where we have two people who are switching houses in different cities, and so they kind of, get immersed in the towns and the community of that, and then they each find a love interest in said town, and all the things kind of happen with that. Our main characters, Bee and Clover, they definitely had some other things going on as well. It wasn't as fun and fluffy. It wasn't like, very overly emotional, but this did have some substance to it, which I was a fan of. I just felt like, I don't know, this wasn't what I was expecting, but I don't exactly know what I was expecting, so it's kind of hard to make it make sense. I just wanted more from this, I think. It felt kind of surface level, but also at the same time trying to address heavier or more serious, I guess I should say, topics. But then at the same time, it felt like we were kind of moving faster than what made sense for the characters, and then the ending just felt kind of abrupt and not necessarily like we didn't get a full ending to me with how the characters were going to fix their situations, because what it came down to is if they both found, love interest in different cities. So y'all got to figure out, are y'all going to the same place? Which place are y'all going to move to? Who's going to move? Like all the logistical stuff behind that. And it just kind of left that out in the open and didn't solve that. And that kind of annoyed me. I feel like everything I just said about this book did not make sense. And that's kind of the feeling I was left with after reading the book. So I guess whatever, I tried. And my last 3 stars is going to be macarons and mistletoe, and this is the 3.5 in the Island Bites series by Angie Peltier. And this was like 30 pages. It wasn't even 30 pages. And it was very hard for me to rate. And I think that's why I settled on a 3 star, because honestly, and I can't even tell you the synopsis of this because that's it, friend. All I can say is there's a secret Santa cookie challenge, and the cookies end up in the wrong person's hands. Well, the macarons end up in the wrong person's hands, and that's all I can say, because again, we have 24 pages. So I definitely feel like this got 3 stars for me because I liked the concept, but I definitely feel like this should have been fleshed out more. I'm not saying we needed a full-length novel, but it definitely needed at least double the length to give it some substance. Like this just felt like we were reading a scene out of a book and that was it, and it needed more. And so that's how I ended up at that 3 star. But it was cute. I love these characters. It was great being back with them. I just needed more. Our last 3 star is going to be The Scorpion Queen by Mina Fears. And this is a YA fantasy book where we follow Aminata, who has suffered a great loss. She has been put into a scandal, and because of that, she has been disinherited by her family. She can no longer marry the boy she was betrothed to, and she now has to serve as a servant for what is it? For Princess Mariama, who is the daughter of the emperor. And Mariama's father has this crazy competition trial situation to find a suitor for Mariama, and basically nobody has succeeded. I hope that made sense. But my issue with this was that I wanted to fight everybody. And I kind of hate when people who don't deserve redemption stories get them, or the author tries to give them one, because the person who wronged Ami in this book, and I'm speaking very vaguely because I don't think it's in the synopsis, they don't deserve redemption. I do think that this is a good YA fantasy for the audience it's intended for. I just had a couple of little, but it's good enough that I definitely will still be recommending. It's short, and yeah. Oh, friends, we gotta circle back. I forgot a 2.5 star. Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli was a 2.5 star for me as well. This is the second book in the Crimson Moth series. If you know, this book has taken me basically all year to read. I think I started it in July and did not finish it until the end of December. Me and this book we're on the struggle bus, and I think that's just because I was not invested in this at all, and that was very heartbreaking because I loved the first book, Heartless Hunter, but this just felt like it was written by a different author. I feel like we ran out with the cat and mouse situation. Like it just became annoying because you knew that they weren't going to actually do anything to each other because they liked each other so much. And while there were some very interesting like plot twists and reveals, I just could not make myself care. And I just finished this because the completionist in me needed to finish it. But in all reality, I just could have done without it, honestly. All right, now let's go ahead and move into our 3.5 stars. And the first one we have is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. And this is a dark academia sapphic vampire story where we have Laura, who is going to St. Perpetua's Women's College. And while she's there, she meets Carmilla, who is this very like intoxicating person. And they kind of start this rival situation trying to compete for the attention of their professor, De La Fontaine. And as Laura gets roped in with De La Fontaine and Carmilla, things start coming out and, situations happen. And it's just a lot. Now, I will say I enjoyed this. I liked the story, the character arc of Laura and how she was so different from where she started when we first met her. I thought that was really cool. I enjoy S.T. Gibson's writing. Like, she can write a book, okay? Her writing is very beautiful, and I just love the flowery language that she uses. I had a good time, but I just don't know if this one will be like as memorable for me, and that's why we settled on a 3.5. Next, we have Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. It's another dark academia situation where we have 6 people competing in the decennial, which will kind of let them decide what their fate will be, because they are basically in a purgatory at Blackwood Academy. And so winning this decennial is the only way out. And basically, it is very reminiscent of the Alice 6, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. But it's just something about this where I did not really connect with the characters. Like, I was interested in the plot, I was interested in, what was going on. I liked the characters, but it was missing something for me, and I don't really know what that was. I also feel like the romantic situations in this was very annoying because nobody would just say what they needed to say. And it was very frustrating to, deal with. I did like the audiobook of this because it was full cast, and that helped me, keep the characters separated in my head. I will be continuing on. It's only a duology, but I think if it was a longer series, I would kind of cut it off right here. But because there's only one more book, I will be finishing that out. The next 3.5 star is The Spiced Cocoa Cafe by Harper Graham. This is the second book in the Maple Fall series. And in this one, we follow Cassidy, who is new to town, and she owns a local coffee shop, and she gets into this rivalry with Liam, who I don't remember what kind of shop he owns, but he owns some kind of shop as well across the street. And they have this kind of rivalry that then blooms into a romance. And it's just a very Christmassy situation. I had a fun time with this one. I do like Cassidy and Liam. I like them both as main characters. I did like this one more than I liked the first book in the series. My only issue with this is that I hate when people assume things, do not ask questions, and then blow up a situation way beyond what it actually would have been if you had just stopped and asked the questions that you needed to ask, instead of being like so upset that you can't even see anything in front of you. And that's what happened, and it caused a major blow up and kind of dampened the relationship for me. But other than that, I think this was, a really cool, fun time. I like reading this series, and we'll be continuing on with it. Our last 3.5 star is going to be Home for Christmas by Rousey Adams, and this is another one of her novellas, and we follow Aria, who has some beef with Christmas apparently, and Miles, who has come home to spend the holidays, and they kind of team up to do some holiday-ish activities to try to, get Arya back into the spirit of things. And along the way, they end up, building a relationship. And I thought this was fun. I like the holiday ish things that Arya and Miles were doing. I thought the things that he did for her was really cute. I was here for that. It's just not something that will, stick with me or really be that memorable, but I thought it was a good time while I was in it. Our only 4 star is going to be Heavenly Bodies by Amani Ariu. This is the first book in the Heavenly Bodies series. It's a celestial based romantasy where we have Alara, who has this prophecy about her that she will fall in love with a star, which is what gods are calling this world, and it will end up killing them both. And so one of the stars takes it into his own hands that he, needs to get rid of Alara, so this prophecy will not become a thing. And so Alara ends up escaping and runs into the land of Helios, which is the kingdom of light, and falls into the hands of the prince, whose name is Lorenzo. And Lorenzo's father decides that he wants to use Alara as a weapon. So Lorenzo has to train her, and, romance happens. And I really liked Alara and Lorenzo's banter. I thought it was fun. I liked reading about their romance. Alara got on my nerves a little bit because she was all gas, no breaks, didn't think first, just did things, and that ended up causing a lot of problems along the way. I really enjoyed the world building, the magic, the lore with the celestial things. It was good. I just found myself checking out at points sometimes, and that's why I ended up being a 4 star. I do think though that there is a possibility for a 5 star book to be in this series, and I'm very excited to continue on and see how it expands. Moving on to the 4.5 stars, and nobody is more surprised than me that this was a 4.5 star, and that is The Gingerbread Bakery by Lori Gilmore, the 5th book in the Dream Harbor series. And I don't know what it was about Annie and Mac, but I absolutely love their stories. In this, we follow Annie and Mac, who we know from the start they have some beef. They're always arguing, but we don't really know why or what happened in the past previously. Nobody knows, actually, but Annie and Mac. So throughout the story, we follow them as they plan Jeannie and Logan's wedding, the couple from the first book, which was the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. And so along the way, we get flashbacks of Annie and Mac and what actually happened to cause this rift between them. And I absolutely love the flashbacks. I thought they were the cutest thing ever. Just getting to see Annie and Mac fresh out of high school, not really sure what they wanted to do about life, kind of coming together in an unlikely friendship that led to a flirtationship and other things. And also going back and forth in present day and seeing that Mac is not letting up. He is still being there for Annie and knowing her in ways that other people don't know her, and still having her back even though she has all the smoke for him. And it just worked for me. It did. I was happy to see Annie and Mac work through their shit and get it together. And y'all, let me tell you something. I also learned that I love a scene when a man gets down on his knees and begs for his woman, and Mac did that, friends. I've only read it a couple of times. I think that might have been the second or third time that I've read it, and I just eat it up every time. Eat it up every time. So yeah, I was very surprised but very happy that this ended up being a 4.5 star for me. And our last 4.5 star is going to be Son of the Morning by Kweki Imezi. And friends, I fell in love with this book. I thought it was a great romantasy. Kweki did what needed to be done. It was short, it got to the point, I had a fun, spicy time. And yeah, so in this one, we follow Galilee, who has grown up knowing that she was different, but her family never explained to her how she was different. She didn't find out for herself. So she's just kind of muddling through life until she runs into Lucifer here. And he is immediately head over heels down bad for Gally. And so they strike up this romance, but of course her family does not want her with Lucifer. He's literally, the king of hell. And because nobody knows what Gally is, they find that she is dangerous. And so Lucifer's princes of hell, including Leviathan, all want Galilee dead. And so we kind of have to work through that, friend. There is a polyamorous relationship in here. There's some good tea in here, and I just ate this up. I am obsessed with this, and I need a Quakey to write more romanticy. I feel like they did such a good job in this, and specifically giving us the POVs that we needed to explain things further and to make things make sense. Like, the layers to this story is deep, and I just genuinely had a good fun time. And I wish it was more than a standalone. In the last book of this video, we only have one 5-star, but friends, it was a banger. And that is Our Vicious Oaths by N.E. Davenport. Another romantasy that I just fell head over heels for. In this, we're following Khadisha, who is a warrior princess, and she has been bound since infancy to be betrothed to the Hyperion High King, and she has no choice but to do what men have chosen her to do. Repulsed by the idea, she decides to spend one last night of freedom in the arms of a dangerous stranger who takes her to sexual heights she's never experienced before, but who is only using Khadisha to set a trap for the High King. For the High King and the kings of his 6 dominions were responsible for the decimation of the Apollyon court, and the court's new king, Malachi, wants his pound of flesh. On Khadisha's wedding day, Malachi and his special forces attacked. Her father is killed, and Malachi wants the High King, ultimately taking Khadisha as a hostage back to his land. But she is no true hostage. The two form a pact. She will help lure the High King to Malachi so he can kill him once and for all, and he in turn will not harm Khadisha or her people. And as much as Khadisha hates politics, she is now the queen of her folk. For even as they must publicly display their connection to provoke the High King's jealousy, they struggle to resist the powerful allure between them in order to achieve their ultimate goals. Friends, this is everything. Like, I absolutely loved this from beginning to end. I liked the court politics in this. I wasn't expecting it to be so political, but I definitely enjoyed that. We have the Kongamados, which are dragon-like creatures, and the lore and how they connect with their riders was really cool. We have Black Fae wearing grills. Like, I can't. This was a spicy good time, and I feel like, this is it, friend. This is one of my favorite romanticies of all time. Maybe not the one, but one of the ones. And I just am so happy that we have this. This is needed. And also, it's very spicy. So, if that's not your thing, then this might not be for you. But if it is, you need to definitely pick it up. Yeah. And with that being said, this is the end of my November and December wrap up. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, anything that you do to support me and my channel. It is greatly appreciated. Let me know if you've read any of these books, what you thought about them. I hope you have the best day that you possibly can. Remember to take care of yourself, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.